Danish had always believed the mind was private territory, a fortress where only his thoughts could live. Until one night, a memory arrived that wasn't his. It came without warning, like a whisper during sleep. He woke up gasping, sweat pouring from his body, the image burning behind his eyelids. A girl standing in a forest, barefoot, staring at a noose hanging from a tree. He didn't know her. He'd never seen that place. But it felt real, too real. By morning, Danish was sure he'd had a vivid nightmare, until he looked in the mirror and noticed the dirt under his fingernails. Thick, black soil, still damp. He lived in a fourth-floor apartment in the city. No garden, no forest. The memory came again the next night. Longer this time. He was walking through the woods, breathing heavily, hands trembling. The girl was ahead of him, just out of reach, humming a broken tune. Her back was to him, but every part of Danish's body screamed that he knew her, that he had followed her before, that he had failed her before. Then the sound of a snapping rope. He woke up screaming. This time there was blood under his nails. Over the next few days, the memory kept returning, but not like a dream. More like a film being replayed in fragments. In the middle of his office job, he'd zone out and see tree branches creaking. While brushing his teeth, he'd hear the girl whispering, "You left me." He started avoiding sleep, avoiding silence, but the memory didn't care. It began intruding while he was awake. Once, while riding the train, the other passengers faded and he found himself standing again before the tree, the same tree with its twisted rope swinging gently in the wind. He could smell the forest, feel the cold. When he snapped back, he had tears in his eyes. People stared. Danish went to a therapist, explained what he could, left out the blood and the dirt. The therapist listened calmly and said, "Sometimes the subconscious fabricates trauma. Dreams can feel like memories. But they're not mine," Danish said, his voice shaking. "I can feel things I never experienced. Fear that doesn't belong to me." The therapist nodded and suggested medication. Danish never went back. Then things escalated. He began waking up in different places. Once in the stairwell of his building. Another time in the park across town, barefoot and shaking, hands scratched and dirty. The worst was the night he woke up in front of a mirror he didn't own in a room he didn't recognize. Carved into the glass with something sharp were the words, "Remember me." He blinked and was back in bed, gasping, the smell of pine trees still in his nose. Obsessed, Danish began researching local missing persons, suicides, deaths in wooded areas. He found one case. Mira Youssef, age 19, last seen heading into Black Hollow Forest 3 years ago. Presumed dead. Body never found. He stared at the photo. It was her. The girl from the memory. Danish visited the forest. Everything was exactly as it had been in his visions, the crooked path, the moss-covered stones, the hollow tree with the rope scarred into its branch. He walked until he reached the clearing. Silence. Stillness. And then the hum. Soft. Familiar. He turned slowly. She was standing there. Pale. Dirty. Her eyes hollow. "I never left," she whispered. His throat clenched. He tried to step back, but his body wouldn't move. "You saw," she said, stepping closer. "You watched. You were there that night, weren't you?" Danish shook his head, terrified. "No. I don't remember. I swear." She tilted her head. "But I do. You ran. You heard me scream. You ran and you forgot me." Something cold slid down his back. The memory crashed in full. He had been there. 3 years ago. Drunk. Wandering with friends. Heard a cry in the woods but too afraid to follow it. He saw the girl. Turned away. Told himself it was nothing. Told himself she was probably just lost or crazy or someone else's problem. And now her death had taken root in him. Danish dropped to his knees. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The forest was silent. Then the noose dropped from the tree above, slowly, deliberately, and hovered inches from his face. He stumbled back. But the girl was gone. Only the whisper remained. "Now the memory is yours." When they found Danish's body 3 days later, hanging from the same tree, there were no signs of foul play. No footprints, no injuries. Only a single line carved into the tree bark. He remembered too late. The case was closed. But the next month, a woman jogging through the forest stopped abruptly and stared at the trees. She swore she saw a girl, barefoot, silent, staring at her through the branches. That night, she dreamed of rope. And in the morning, there was soil under her nails.